But hey, you guys, thanks for joining. I haven't met all of you in person. A few of I've met over Zoom. We'll just do a quick introduction, and once I do the introduction, we'll have everybody go on mute. I just want to start with my old friend and who still acts very young, Paul Gizzi. Why don't you go start us off and introduce yourself?
That's correct.
Actually, if everybody just goes to mute now, and then when I call your name out, then you can talk, so that way we have less disturbances, especially in the field.
Matt said it quite well. Definitely an old friend and a friend for a long time, whichever way you want to look at it. Representing the Southern California Seahorse women's soccer program, we're trying to revive. We've been off and on through the years, and we're hoping to start up in the fall of this fall in 22.
Mm-hmm.
We've got several ladies in the office now, and 2 more coming in the fall. So hopefully they'll be the champion, and we'll make sure that they're on track before we get to that point.
And I'm telling other teams, Paul, that you've got some players that want to play now, so you might have to loan them out for the spring season.
That might be a good way to go.
Yeah. And so that might be a good way. But yeah, thanks for being here, Paul. And
yeah, we'll loan them out to the highest bidders.
Yeah. And just a real quick commercial, I know, because which teams are you taking overseas this summer? Oh,
I wish. We've been COVIDed out of our Japan.
Oh, you did?
Trip, so
okay.
We've got a Scandinavia trip, by the way, for high schoolers. If you guys will look on seahorsesoccer.com,
mm-hmm.
We're taking high school girls and boys again. The last time we did that trip was with Matt Morse, 93, 94, I believe.
94. That was a long time.
So all right. Have some of your kids come with us.
Thanks,
especially
Paul.
You, Johnny Marmelstein.
All right. Mike, why don't you go next?
Good evening, everyone. I'm standing in for Sheldon Thomas, who coaches our women's team, Spartan Wolves, out of the Los Angeles Inglewood area. So good evening to everyone. Nice to see everyone, especially Johnny. Yeah, long time. We go way back.
All right, Johnny, why don't you go next?
Hey, if you're really old, you go way back with a lot of people. So that's kind of how it is with me. So I'm Johnny Marmelstein, been a longtime high school coach, but currently coaching the Capo FC women.
All right, welcome. Thanks for being on here. Wendy?
Hi, I'm Wendy Amante, and I have worked with Matt through Brea, and I have been helping out, at least for the first camp of the Philippine women's team in the summertime. So yeah, that's it. I think I've met Johnny from Capo. We had a practice game with him. That's about it.
All right. Yeah. So Wendy doesn't have a team, but she's been talking to national teams of Philippines and possibly Saipan, and with the possibility of somehow integrating with our league, or at least maybe doing some exhibition games with us. Yeah, I've known her for a long time. So yeah, thanks for being on. All right, Steven.
Hey guys, name's Steven Arroway, owner of Soul Soccer Academy in Anaheim, and also the head coach for the men's and women's Soul to Soul FC team. That'll be playing in the league next season. We have both of our teams in the Southwest, and kind of looking forward to what this next season holds.
All right, thanks, Steven. Also at training or out for a walk.
Yeah, out at training right now. Okay. Yeah.
All right, good. Tarzan.
Hey guys, how you doing? My name is Tarzan. I know Capo, I know Lalo over here. I've met Steven as well. Hi to the rest of you guys. I'm the assistant coach and manager for UC Internacional, originally named Internacional Club Femenino. We've played in the WPSL, UWS, etc. like that. I still currently play on the men's side for United City. Also filling in for the owner, Steve Hawthorne, who is currently in England, but you got it on recording, so that'd be perfect, Matt. But yeah, nice to meet all you guys. Definitely looking forward to this season, that's for sure. Big improvements from the sounds of it than the UPSL, so I'm pretty stoked.
Thank you. All right, Lalo, if you can unmute, if you figure it out. I put you on mute, so hopefully you can figure out how to unmute. No, I can't hear you yet. I wish I could manually unmute you, but I don't know how to do that. There you go.
Matt?
Yes. Okay, you're good, Lalo. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay, my name is Lalo Avalos. I'm the coach for Elite Soccer Club, and I have my team like for a couple of years, but we play almost in Sundays League. But in the 2018 we was at we played the State Cup and we was the champions, and that's part of my team.
All right. Welcome. Glad
What's the
to
name
have
of the
you.
club again?
Elite Soccer Club.
Yeah, Elite. Yes. All right. Thank you. Yeah, Elite also has been in our men's league for a long time. They were in our women's league back when they won the State Cup in 2018. So it's good to have them back. They just committed. I think within the past 24 hours, I've been pushing them to join, and they're ready to go. So Elite's one of the guys that's going to be asking you for players, Paul. So all right, Dito. Dito, if you're there.
Ditto put in the chat that he was running like double time, so I
Okay,
don't think he's gonna
that's right.
talk.
Come on. Okay. All right, Ed.
How you doing? My name is Ed Kirchner. I am the assigner for the Southwest Premier Soccer League. We'll be assigning the Women's League as well, and also one of the officials. So looking forward to working with everybody out there.
All right. Yeah. And yeah, good to have you on here, Ed. It's always good to have him on the call because we can discuss all things that we love about managing these games. And
About officials.
yeah, no, it's been good. He's been a good asset this year. So I'm glad to have him as part of it. So, all right. So just want to get into it. I had the agenda on the, oh, I got another person. I had the agenda listed on the email that went out. So you all saw it. So we did introductions. Myself and Ed are pretty much the only staff that are here on the call. Other staff are unavailable. My wife is the registrar, and who's to be on mute. Okay. All right. Who do I need to mute? All right. All right. Good. So yeah, so our other staff couldn't make it. You know, it's always hard at night, but we have a good staff that works with us. Nick Peters has been with our league for about 15 years doing our registrar, or sorry, doing scheduling and referee assigning. He's also has ran a team in our league. And then we have a new gentleman, Steven Ramirez, who handles all of the marketing, and he's created some good marketing templates for the clubs to work with to develop some things. He's worked with Protagonist Soccer podcast. If any of you follow Protagonist, he's been on board with us doing a lot of our design work and social media. But our main focus is not to lift up our league but is to help you guys as clubs to promote yourselves and market yourselves. So you won't see a ton of action from us out there in terms of getting our name out there. We're more behind the scenes, making sure our league is running smooth and is doing the right things for you guys. So you'll hear from a lot of us on the behind the scenes, but you know, any media and the stuff that goes out, we want it to be about your clubs more than about us. So for those of you, I'm going to share my screen and start kind of moving around some different screens here. First thing is, move my list over here. First thing is the staff registration. So most of you registered your teams here under team registration. If you're showing up on this page, so there's 6 of you showing. Albion actually decided to drop, but we'll be adding Elite as soon as they register. But most of you guys registered here under the team registration. But what I need you guys to do next is to go to the staff registration. and log into your profile and then register yourself as staff for the team. And that will give you admin access to manage your team. And I'll show you what that looks like. One of the new things, and I'm sure this will be an issue for the Women's League, is the new Safe Sport regulations. So at the very beginning, there's new things that have to be done regarding Safe Sport and background checks. And these are not our league laws. These are not association laws. These are actually federal laws that we have to be in compliance with. So anybody who registers has to do kind of a self background check. There's also a background check that is on our database. You'll see risk management background checks and Safe Sport. You'll see that in our document library. I'm going to show you how to access all that in a minute, but I just wanted to touch on the Safe Sport stuff first. So the rule is, if you have a minor on your team, for anyone who's 15, 16, 17 years old, then the coach, any staff on the team has to do a background check and a Safe Sport course. And I know a lot of you have done that. If you've done that within the last couple of years, it should be acceptable. You might have to do a refresher course. But once you create yourself as a staff, there's a link to do a background check here. It's a $12 to do the background check. The additional thing is, which is going to be hard to manage, is that any adult player on your team has to do the Safe Sport course. There's no cost to do that, but if you have one player who's 17 and 29 players who are 18 and over, all 29 players have to do the Safe Sport course. So you're going to have to determine whether you're going to want to have teenagers, high schoolers on your team. I've been trying to kind of push back because it seems like a lot of overkill to do this. But you know, the powers that be in the federal law have made some very strict policies around this Safe Sport thing. So that's something we're going to have to be aware of and mindful. And some of this stuff just became effective as of January 2022. So it's all new to us. So we're kind of scrambling as a league. We're way behind as a league and getting all this stuff done for our men's divisions. So we have to play catch up there, but any new leagues that are coming on, we have to manage all this properly. Once you're get your staff, then we will ask you to have your players register. So there's a section called player registration. So again, it talks about Safe Sport right away at the beginning. Actually, no, on the players one, the Safe Sport stuff is at the bottom to let you know what you have to do. But we ask all the players have to register through this. A lot of you may be used to registering players for them, which you can do, but you have to, every player has to have a unique profile. So they have to have an email address that is unique to them. You can't use your email address and register all 25 people under your email. Since this is adult soccer, they get sent to our association and then they're filed with US Soccer. So they all have to have their own profile. So make sure they do that. And there is the option for them to pay for themselves, or they can say, my coach will pay when a player registers. And it's $40 for the registration. And once they register, we will approve them and then they'll show up on your roster. But a lot of what I want to talk about is going to be on our page. So I'm going to show you guys all how to access. You can ignore what I'm doing right now. What I'm trying to do right now, I have to update my password every time I log in for one of these. But I'm going to log in. So once you guys create your profile, you're going to log back in like this. And you just go to log in anywhere and then log in. And then once you log in, you will see your team. And then you can click registration. This is where you're going to register yourself. But since I've already completed registration as a player and a staff, it shows that here. You can't register again for another team. And then you've all done this bit as well for players and staff. So once you register, if you have more than one team, you can toggle between your teams here. So I'm going to show my FCUK. And then, so now what we're going to talk about is managing your team. So this is going to be your main source for managing your team. The document library is where all of the items are. So right here is that USSSA Safe Sport and background check. So this is all the information here. It gives you a link to do the background check right here. And then there's information on accessing the Safe Sport. The players also have access to this document library. So you can just tell your players, hey, go to the document library and click on Safe Sport. And, you know, you can manage yourself from there. So there's a bunch of stuff here. There's some tutorial videos, how to manage your team and play for player registrations, how to print a match roster, how to record stats, how to view schedules. Some of this stuff pertains to our men's division or over 30. But then we have our rules handbook, which is a document that's almost 70 pages long. So I don't expect you to read all of it. But if there is any issues or anything that come up, we will go by this document that covers everything from our league. We had something come up the other day that Ed was there. He was actually the referee where the lights went out with like 2 minutes left to play while the team who was behind by a goal was ready to take a penalty kick, and the lights went out. And they wanted to protest the game, but I was able to pull up section 10 game delay, and I sent that to them, and it said, you know, everything that you need to do if there's a game delay. And so we were able to follow this and determine the course forward. So we do have that if you ever need it. We do have, I won't go through all of this stuff right now, but I just want to touch on a broad range so that you guys can go in, check it out for the next couple of weeks while we prepare for the season. The next thing is the view my team. So when players start to register, they will show up on your my team right here. And if you, well, I don't think any of you have more than one team, so I don't need to, you can toggle between the two teams or different teams here. But these green and red are the important things you'll look for. Under status, if it says registered in green, that means your player's cleared to go. Under this part, it'll say if there's issues, this player's missing a payment and there's a waiver. If it says not registered, that could mean they registered for a previous season, but they haven't registered for this year. But you know, this team looks pretty good. Just to give you an example of another team that's kind of a newer team, they just joined us. This is more clean, but this is a player right here, Giovanni Mendez. They registered pending league approval. This means that they are not eligible to play yet. They only eligible to play if it says registered. So this means that they've registered. Maybe they haven't paid yet, or they haven't completed something. This one says payment missing. So what you need to do in this case is if you see this, and this is your view, this is not our view, you can come down here where it says, I would like to pay for these players. And you click in this, got a little sync issue. Hold on a second. All right. So if you click in the box, you can choose the players, Giovanni and Edgar. And then you can pay for the players here. So one of the things that's important to know before your players register for your team, you need to tell them whether you expect them to pay for themselves, or if you're going to cover that yourself. Because once a player says, my coach will pay for me, then you have to pay for them through the system. they cannot log back on and pay for themselves. Once they make that decision, it's just kind of how our system's built. So if they do that and you say, hey, I'm not paying for you, then they're going to have to give you $40 and you log in and you pay for them this way. It's kind of one of those things. It's not the funnest thing. So make sure you communicate properly so you don't have to worry about collecting money from your players to pay for them. So that's how you pay for players. And there's also a way to email your players by clicking email players. And I'm sure you all have a system of texting or following your players, so that's fine. But again, also your account is where the default is. So this is your profile and everything you have there. So the other thing under View My Team is match reporting. I know you'll probably all forget this by the time we get to games, but I'll touch on it. There's also tutorial videos. This will take you to the back end of the system, which is what kind of my view is. And you can look at your team information here, and you can add your website URL. You can add your team logo. You can manage contact information, so you can put your own info here. And when you put that info there, it'll show up, for example, here's FC UK. So this information, Garrett Thorpe, owner, that is what is tracked. Hold on, where am I? That's what's tracked here on this page. So again, that's the FC UK public page. And then here's the back end where you cover the branding, social handle. So you can put your Facebook, Twitter, Instagram here. If you have a YouTube channel, or my Cujo, which is now 11 Sports. So I won't go too much deeper than that, but you can also view your players here, which has information on your players, another view of them being registered. And then there's a chance you can add jersey numbers in here as well. If you're a team where the jersey numbers change from game to game, then you can just leave those blank. If you have an edit button, you can manage the player's information as well here. It's a lot, so I'm just going broad. A lot of you will use a lot of this. Some of you won't use too much of it. So I just wanted to, and the last thing I want to show is how to print a match report. So you go up to schedule here, and then you click on matches. You find the next game, which is this for them. It's Sunday, February 13th, which is this weekend. You click on stats and then print roster match report. So this is our official game day roster. Any player that shows up on the team's page, anybody on this roster that shows up here on the left-hand column will also show up on this roster form. So this is, this is AS Los Angeles. And so all 30 players, if you have 30, will show up here. On game day, you'll check in 18 of your players, and the ref will just put an X mark where the players' names are. And how you verify that the players on your team is you're going to bring your phone, and you're just going to open up the team page on the phone, and you're going to show them the roster and the pictures on the team page. That is a pretty quick and simple process. So here's the FC UK team, and then you can scroll up and show the referee the pictures of the players to verify with the roster. So we don't do ID cards, everything's digital. We don't have player passes. This is the only piece of paper which we have to use for the game. So the referee will write their names at the top. You as a manager or staff will sign your name, print your name at the bottom before the game. And at the end of the game, you will sign this form, take a picture of it so you have a record of the game. And then the referees will submit this form to our league office. So we'll check for any red cards or yellow cards. or anything like that. So that's kind of how we manage all the game day stuff. Again, a lot of this is just kind of basic to how we run the league, some of the operations of our league. It's changed because we have a new system. So, you know, but it's, once you get the hang of it, it's pretty well understandable and organized. I'm going to share the screen back, just touch on a couple more things. Another thing that we actually just added on our SoCal website is, where is it? So there's a link called Referee Game Day Procedures. This Ed Kirshner, who's on, just sends this to all. This is basically the procedures for game day. This is for this is for staff, for you guys, and for referees. I'm not going to go through all of it specifically, but this is what we want the teams to follow to manage the game. I mean, at the end of the day, you show up, your players show up, we check them in, they play the game, complete the roster. The roster gets sent back to us for verification purposes. Simple process, right? But we just make sure we have everything clear and concise so that we can track everything, make sure everybody's verified, and we're covered on all our bases. All right. So any questions about any of that stuff from anybody? In terms of just managing your team or accessing, you know, so if some of you are not as tech savvy, show this video to one of your players and we can add one of your players as a staff member, or you can assign a player to print the rosters and bring it for you. But you know, feel free to delegate some of these things so that you can, you know, do what's good for you. And I noticed that I spelled procedures wrong on this page, so I got to fix that.
Matt,
Yeah.
Question. You did show a portion that spoke on the insurance, and
Yeah.
I wanted to get a clarification on that.
Okay.
What is the standard insurance that you're expecting us to carry for the team, the players, and the field that we'll be calling our home field?
Okay, let me go to that because that's an important piece. I just logged out, so I'll have to log back in to show you that. Okay, so back on document library, there's a form called insurance right here for fields. So there's if you have your own home field, we'll send you a form for field insurance. Once that field insurance gets issued, you don't have to pay anything for that. That's included. There's a link here that shows you, this is a list of all the fields that we have covered for insurance. So once you submit that form to USSSA and you copy me on it and it comes back, I'll capture the copy of the insurance and I'll send that to you guys so you don't have to go searching for it, so you can provide it to your thing. But more in terms of insurance, you know, you're an independent organization. You know, we're just in a relationship where we schedule games for you. You guys play the game. So whatever level of insurance you want to carry for your own organization is good. Our league has insurance through USSSA. The players are registered through USSSA. And one thing I want to touch on is on player registration is that, oh, I got to log out to view it. Is that USSSA does not provide secondary medical insurance. All right, so that's important to know. And we made that decision this year based on California laws because California does provide health coverage for if anybody wants it. They have covered California. There's Medi-Cal. If anybody wants health insurance, they can go get it. All right, so they don't need us to provide it. So, and I know how it works because all three of my kids were on it, and I've had kids have surgeries and different things that was covered 100%. So I know it's real insurance. So we made the decision to bypass the secondary medical insurance. So We try to make it, it's right here. Player registration does not include secondary medical insurance. We recommend you do your own research and obtain your own personal medical insurance if you are going to compete in this league. So make sure you inform your players that this is the case. If players get injured in our league, when they do register, they sign a waiver form that they understand the sport is dangerous. They could get injured, but they are not going to hold us liable, and they understand that, you know, they're on their own to do that. So that's an important thing for us to be upfront about, that we know that that's part of it. So in terms of insurance coverage, if you want to take your own policy out, you're more than welcome to do it, but it just was not financially feasible for that coverage to do it.
In Inglewood, Inglewood requires any teams that are gonna home field there,
Mhm.
we have to carry insurance.
Yeah.
So that's a requirement for us in Inglewood. So, you know, we're gonna do it anyway. You know, we've included that as part of our team fees.
Yeah, and we cover the field insurance, so the field
Right.
insurance will be covered as part of.
Inglewood, requires us on that side also. As the host team at there, we
Okay.
have to carry it to be able to go to practice and, you know,
Yeah.
have games. So,
Okay,
you know,
all right,
we kind of stuck there.
yeah. Very good. Any other questions on any of that stuff?
Yeah, so pretty much we're flipping from what the men's has been doing, right? Because I know for the men's side, I've always been giving my ID out at the game. So we're flipping from that and we're just doing phone digital only, correct? 100%.
Not 100%, 99%. If there's no photo, or if the photo's blurry or the ref can't see it, they will ask for a photo ID for verification. So make sure they bring driver's license, passport, whatever, to verify that. Ed, do you want to touch on that at all in terms of for clarity on that?
Well,
Player
no,
check-in?
it was a good question, Tarzan,
Yeah.
because that's exactly what's happened about. I would say the numbers are a little bit lower as far as people having that on their phone. Quite a few of the coaches do not have it updated. So we go to the ID, but it is required that they have a legible ID that we can see, and they can back it up with the date of birth as something that has their date of birth if it's in question. So not bringing an ID that has you when you were 13 years old and here now you're 22, that's not going to fly anymore. We're trying to stop that. It's got to be, you know, current as much as possible. And, you know, there's nobody giving a hard time, but if it doesn't look like you, listen, it's not going to fly. And I told the referees, do not accept it and let the league make the decision. I think that's fair.
Yeah, and what Ed and I have talked about, and now that we get the game day forms, is we allow you to write in a player if you're 100% sure they're covered or they're on for some reason they didn't show up on the roster. You can write them in, but we're just going to verify it in the next 24 or 48 hours, and we'll just look up the player's name and everything like that. So we don't want to have this battle at the field between you saying they're registered and I confirm, and the ref saying no, I'm arguing. You say, hey, you know, just go ahead and write them in and play them, and you're taking ownership of the fact that this player's covered. You know, so we don't want to get into these like trying to figure out something that only our registrar can manage to figure out by logging into our system and looking at that. So again, it's going to be that team roster that says registered in green. If they're on there, they should show up on there, but there could be issues for whatever reason. There have been glitches on our system that we're still working out. So, you know, we leave it on your honor system to, well, not on your honor system, we will verify after the game. So again, you're able to do that. All right. So what I wanted to talk about now that we have our 6 teams, I don't think there's any other teams that are going to register. So I wanted to talk a little bit about timing and format. So, you know, it says Albion here, but they're going to drop and we're adding elite. So we have 6 teams here and everyone's pretty well local. Capo's Orange County, Golden State's Pomona area, Soul to Soul's Anaheim, Spartan Wolves Inglewood, UC International. What's your kind of home base?
Most likely it'll be OC Great Park from
Okay,
what
so-
now, but it may change to LA. We're seeing.
All right, so everyone's fairly local, so there's not going to be travel costs or anything restrictive there. 6 teams is a good number. Teams don't have to be on a bye. We'll do a home and away of a 10-game season. So if we start, my goal, I'm going to pull up a calendar here real quick. Hold on one second. So my goal for this season would be that we would start by March 6th or March 13th. And then if I count 10 weeks from then, that'll put us right up into, we skip holidays, maybe skip Easter, maybe skip Mother's Day, which is kind of typical for us. That'll put us right up to Memorial Day weekend. And then we can determine, and I want to have feedback from you guys, what kind of format you want to do. For me, I just like to do a single table of home and away, and the champion is the champion after 10 games. If you guys want to extend the season or maybe play an extra round, get an extra 5 games in, I'm totally open. At this point, I'm becoming the person who serves you guys and your needs for your teams. We just want to manage it from here. So any feedback from you guys when you want to see the season end? Do you want to see it end around Memorial Day? Do you want to go another round and go all the way through the summer? There could be a couple teams maybe after we do our initial home and away, maybe another couple teams want to join and we can play on. Maybe the Seahorses are ready to go at that time, or we can take a break for the summer and then restart at the end of August, beginning of September. So I'm totally open to your feedback and ideas and suggestions on what you want to see.
I'll go first. For me, I think that's fine. Because at the end of the day, this is the starter package, basically. We're starting off the league. So I think just, playing the 10 games, crowning whoever's in first place is fine. We don't need to do a playoff or nothing like that, because at the end of the day, it's not like there's a promotion like what we do on the men's side, like you go to Nisa Nation or something like that. There's nothing like that. We're kind of just setting the trend for everybody else to see, oh, this is a good league. This is very competitive. Look at these games, live stream, et cetera, like that.
Yeah.
So I think just to have straight 10 and then champion's the champion, and just pretty much leave the break. Cause I know, I'm pretty sure a lot of teams probably have a lot of college players that are going to be, going back to school and stuff. So I think if you try to jump into that, it might kind of screw up a lot of teams potentially. And at the same time too, I know there's even girls on my team who are asking, are we going to jump back in UWS or WPSL, and I know some of them, when we say no, most likely not, they might want to jump on a different team, and I know other people might have that same kind of deal, and even a couple of our players are international duties. So they're going to be leaving again, so I think just the 10 and then straight champion and then regroup for the fall. And hopefully, it gains enough traction to where everybody's like, this was awesome, kind of brings in the next wave. That's just what I think.
And we have, as a league, we have reached out to UWS and WPSL just to say, hey, we're a local league and we're interested in relationship building. If there is interest, we are affiliated with NISA, which is the National Independent Soccer Association. So there's a good link there between the men's side. NISA is in the process of launching the Women's Independent Soccer League. They should launch as early as 2023. I am involved in stuff with NISA, so I know they have some big announcements coming soon in terms of affiliations as well as a possible national director. So as we are playing our season, a lot will be coming to fruition about what the plans are for the Women's Independent Soccer League. So I know there's a lot of pro interest behind that as well, and creating an affiliation network like there is on the men's side. So but yeah, but any other thoughts in terms of the format of our season? Guys like the 10 game, just do a thumbs up. 10 game season. All right. No feedback there. Okay. The other thing that we want to talk about besides the format is the league standards. So first standard we want to talk about is field quality. So that's important to us. You know, in the next few days, or probably Monday or Tuesday, you're going to get a field information form. Actually, I can probably put a link right now in the chat. But we're going to have you guys fill that out. Actually, I'll just screen share it so you can see it. So on our website, if you go to resources, field info form, I think the password is field. Yep, the password is field. So we need each of you guys to fill this out. So I'll just put it in the chat, but we'll also send it to you in an email this next week. But you fill that out and let us know if you have a home field or if you don't have a home field. We just want to make sure it meets our dimension standards, which are listed also on our website under format. I keep unsharing, but I should just keep it on share. On our website, we have this format and standards. This is the SoCal format and standards. So right here in this column, we have the women's regional Division I. So we need to update this because we have 6 teams now, but we're going to do 10 league games. Let me get down to, we've actually lowered the cost from $1,500 to $1,250. And there's the referees. We're doing $100. Another thing we need to talk about in terms of format is the substitution rules. Right. So this is something I'd like to hear feedback. So there's 3 options in my mind. Option 1 is unlimited subs. Option 2 is come out in a half. You can't go back in that half. Option 3 is 7 subs. So all 18-year players can play, but once they come off, they cannot go back on. So does anybody have any preference or determination on what your thoughts are on the substitution rules for the format for this season?
I'll speak again. So I think because we're trying to set a trend, I think it's good to try and relate to the professional realm up in the higher levels. So with that being said, once you're out, you're out. You know, it's kind of one of those deals. The unlimited sub is cool. You know, that's, you know, that typical high school kind of deal, but we're kind of phasing out of that, you know, for these adult women. So they don't need to be on that, you know, role. It's one of those things where if you played your role and then next one comes in, do better job. And if it's a poor substitution, that's on you as the coach, manager, et cetera, like that. So I think the 7 is fine because if I'm not mistaken, I believe on even the top professional side for women's, I think they increased it, if I'm not mistaken, to I forget what the number is.
It was at 3, and it was at 5, and I think
it's like 6 now. I think it's 5 or 6 now. Women can do substitutions now at the pro level. Yeah. So with that being said, 7 is feasible. It's right there. You know, it kind of gets them back in that realm of, you know, the pro level. And I think doing that instead of unlimited, if you go out in the first half and come back in the second, I think that defeats the purpose of establishing that new level that, you know, we're going to be trying to do for the NISA, you know, because NISA is going to be the same thing. You're doing that, you know, once you're out, you're out. And I think that just in all levels encompasses the professional realm that we're trying to build up to.
What are other thoughts?
Well, one of the reasons why we left the UPSL, because my situation is going to be a lot different than everybody else's pretty much. A lot of teams rely on college players. We don't have any college players. They're all women with children, adults. And so one of the reasons why we got out of the UPSL was because we wanted to go to a thing where we could just sub. And, you know, and my women, a lot of them have played professionally abroad. They're just back and they just want to play in a competitive league. They still got a lot of competitiveness. And so they just want to play. So for me, that would be a tough sell because one of the reasons why we told our women we were getting out of UPSL because of the restrictive, because we had a roster of like 30 players, but we could only carry 18 because we couldn't play everybody. So
Mhm.
for me, I think if teams are going to be promoted to the next level, yeah, it makes sense to have a limitation on substitutions. But as far as we're concerned, we're just in there. We want to be in a competitive league, and we would be for just having an unlimited substituting rule. So that's just us.
Well, aren't we only allowed 18 anyways to a game?
Well, 30 can be on a roster, but we usually allow 18 on
Yeah.
game
On
day to
game
check
day?
in.
Yeah.
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 And then we actually, Ed knows this, we have 3 divisions on the men's side, first, second, and third. Our
Mhm.
first division is supposed to be 18, where our second and third, we allow up to 22. And in Nevada and Northern California men's divisions, we have 7 subs. No reentry, but in our SoCal first division, it's unlimited subs. So again, this is like, I want the teams to decide this every year, because not every team's operating under the same purpose, but we have to come to agreement on the goals. So this is going to be a unique season. So, Stephen, I'd like to get your thoughts, since you're also a team coming out of UPSL and you have a team on the men's side. So you're seeing both perspectives also. What are your
Yeah,
thoughts?
no, I was going to jump in there, and I kind of see it from both sides as far as the unlimited substitution and having the big roster and getting more players to go in there and play. But if you are trying to set the standard of the professional side, then going with the limited subs and no re-entry does follow that. But maybe going with that, I did see in the chat that maybe the first season we do the unlimited subs to allow more players to come in, allow each team to kind of grow their roster. And then moving into the second season, when we have, hopefully more teams, we can do maybe a first division, second division, where the first division is 7 subs and the second division is open, or, that type of thing. So I think maybe it would be better the first season open. I'm not opposed to either one. I've done both. You do have to limit your roster when you do only have 7 subs. And then, like you said, but you do have to be more tactical about what you do. You can't just, throw a guy in for 5 minutes and say, oh, yeah, it didn't work out. Okay, let's just change it up again and throw somebody else in. It doesn't really fit the professional side of it. But you also kind of have to build up to it,
Mhm. Yeah. Mike or Lalo, you guys have any thoughts on this topic? Or Sheldon, I see that you're on as well.
I'm gonna speak. The first thing, we are talking about a competitive league, and this is basically the maiden voyage for us. So I'm open in regards to allowing us to have unlimited, but then it kind of takes away from the overall competitive nature of the structure of the league. So I'm a little conflicted, and I'm not gonna really give an answer to that because coach is on the line, and as I told you, Matt, I've got to kind of step back and be the person that's gonna do the handling. Whatever he decides, I will go along with, and I'm sure we can make this work. But I hear Johnny on his side, with the women, and I also hear Tarzan. I would like to see some sort of, at least, if we're gonna have the 7 subs, then if you come out, it's over. Not have rotating players in and out. So that at least puts the coach, in a position where he now has to be more tactical about how and when he makes his subs. So
Yeah.
I'll just leave it at that.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess if anything, sorry, Matt.
Okay.
My next question would be is, if we do unlimited, then what's the roster size for the game? I guess would be my question then. Like, what's the max then? If we're gonna do unlimited, then what would be the max that we're allowed to have at the game?
I would say 18.
Okay.
I would still stick with 18.
Regardless, it'll be 18.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't, like I said, my thing is coaching and playing at the professional level for so long, my head is already, 3-4.
Yeah.
It's where I've been my whole life,
Mhm.
and so when I came to International with Coach Gabby, and we jumped into these different leagues, it was normally 7 was the typical deal. I think WPSL has unlimited. If I'm not mistaken, I remember them having unlimited. UWS, I believe, is 3 because they're that pro AM group. So I believe they had 3, and I think it was a 4 for extra time. So I've seen it both ways. But again, if we're limiting the roster, then cool. But if we're doing unlimited subs and there's like 20 something girls there, something like that, then that's just, for me, that's kind of ridiculous. But if we're sticking with 18 and there's just unlimited, and like Ed said, for the first season, that makes sense. We're kind of starting it off. We want to see how it works, and then we can, refresh second season if it works out, and if it looked good, or if everybody's like, oh, that was horrible, never do that again, then we go, okay, yeah, let's do the subs. But again, I'm totally able to work with the unlimited if that's what everybody feels like needs to happen. I'm just coming from the realm of being in that environment for so long that my head's automatically 3, max 4.
Yeah.
That's just where I'm at. But if the unlimited has to be the majority, so be it. I'm sure my girls will probably be stoked. They'll be like, we can go and come back off. Okay. Because they've been on that transition also. So it's fine. I wouldn't mind either way.
And another thought, since this is inaugural as well too, and the goal is not to just operate in isolation. Like I said, we're trying to connect to the greater game by connecting with the Women's Independent Soccer League and Pro Soccer, is to, once we get to there, we'll have different standards based on different levels. So, you guys are choosing us, and we're really appreciative that you want to be a part of Southwest Premier, hoping that we're creating something for the long term. Again, we want it to be a good experience for everyone. Since we are playing at home and away, we could do the first 5 games unlimited, the second 5 games 7, as we progress through the season. That's an option as well too.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Don't do that. All right.
No, you start. Sorry, I've been.
All right.
You start first. You gotta figure out what's your objective. And I'm hearing bits and pieces, but if the objective is to set something professionally inclined, then you start with a standard. And this is a standard that we live by, and this is a standard that we're gonna follow.
Mhm.
And you go to term with it.
Mhm.
Chopping and changing halfway through takes away from the value of it. So if you go on unlimited, then it has to be, I can't fathom the idea of having 20-player roster on a game day. Doesn't happen. I mean, it's not recreation that way. I mean, you might not need to be cutting oranges and apples for the sideline in that sense. 18, if it's, I'm with Tarzan. 7 subs, international rule. That's a professional mindset. The players that are looking for this competitive environment, who've played outside or are playing on international teams, are looking for that as well. But if it is to try to get the feet wet and yield to a sect of the environment by doing the unlimited, it has to be a strict 18-man roster and 18 women roster. And I guess you do, you're 7 in the first half and 7 in the second half.
And part of my
don't jump and change that.
Yeah, thanks, Tito. Part of my approach too is to create something that's going to be sustainable. Obviously, we've had women's divisions every couple years, then a 3-year gap, and then maybe comes and goes. There's a lot of little local leagues that people can play in. There's one in, I think, Manhattan Beach, South Bay. There's the Orange County one. there's little pockets, and we obviously want to be above that. We want to start out as local, but we want to get to regional with Women's Independent Soccer League. So again, the women's game is still at its infant stages in terms of development and growth. There's a lot of people going after the market share. I know the W League just announced they're coming hardcore. I'm sure, Paul, they've connected with you guys about stuff on the USL doing W League, but again, we want to create something that's sustainable, that makes sense, it's good for the game. So answering all those questions and getting this feedback, then I think we maybe sit on this a couple of days. We don't have to decide now. I'm open to putting it to a vote, because I want us as a league to have each of you have a voice on this for sure. So that's important as well. We didn't hear from Lalo. I don't know if Lalo, you have any thoughts on this from Elite's standpoint? You're not on mute, but you must have your volume down. So you might have to turn the volume up on your phone, or you might have a mute button on your phone on. Oh, you are on mute. So if you can figure it out.
Okay, I think now.
All right.
Okay, I think for now, unlimited subs with 18 players, that's all right, because we don't know how the players is going to work. I don't know if it's going to be 45 minutes. I think my players, they are not ready to play for now. People think they can go on professional teams. They don't know how much they're going to
Kind of coming in and out there.
spend. And I think total semi-pro, whatever you want to call, but I think limited time, or limited with 18 in the roster, that's going to be fine. I'm not players, but it's competition.
Hey, Lalo, we're not hearing most of what you're saying. It's really
the
coming
soccer,
in.
if we
I'm
don't
gonna,
have practice in the middle of the week, 90 minutes.
all right. Hey, I
think they're going to be fine.
Lalo, I didn't catch a lot of what you're saying, because it was kind of cutting in and out. So would you say you're for unlimited or for 7 subs?
I'm going for unlimited
You're
with
for
18 players in the roster.
unlimited. Okay. All right. Well, we'll take this feedback, and we can have some side conversations too, and work this out. So obviously you all came to this league with a thought of what it would be. So hopefully we can get on the same page with everything and create that environment for you guys. So we'll look at that. But with the format, with the standards, we want to figure that out, but a little more on the standards in terms of fields. So I sent you the field info form. We want to have all the setup. If we do have 7 subs, if we limit that amount of subs, then we should have a 4th official to manage the subs as well, to have sub cards and to track that as well. So that will add a little bit of cost to the referee fees. We would do a 4th official. As Ed knows, when we do our U23 league, to manage the age of the players and the subs, we do limit the subs in that league, which we don't do in the open. So we do have a 4th official for those games. So we would treat that the same way if we did it that way. I'm curious, how many of you guys are looking at this as not just a game for your women's team, but actually as an event where you would sell tickets, or at least tell fans or film and stream the games? How many of you guys think you would be doing those kind of things at this? I'm curious.
We're potentially doing that. I
Okay.
know we have, so we partnered with, thanks to Steve, we partnered with Pixelot.
Mhm.
We have the beta testing for Pixelot to do live streaming with
Okay.
them. Now, whether or not we're going to be able to do that by, March is up to Steve right now. That's what he's in England for. He's in negotiating with, couple other people, including talking with Pixelot, and seeing if we're able to get that basically format inputted in the camera. It's already there. They're just having to figure out how to make it happen.
Yeah.
So we could be, if the secondary stadium that we're getting works out, then we will be most likely selling tickets, doing that type of deal.
Okay.
Just because our mindset is already aiming for that professional realm.
Yeah.
Because of what we're thinking. You know,
Yeah.
that's where, again, my head, 7 substitutions, all that stuff, you know, and using this as a platform to go there.
Yeah.
But again,
Especially if we're going to be streaming, which we do want you guys to be streaming these games. That's important to the league because that'll showcase. That could have an effect on how we decide what the sub rule is going to be. If we have everyone can decide that we're going to film and stream the games. So I think that's a big part of this, and getting eyeballs on the games and getting some following out there. So we are going to have some of those standards on our men's side going forward next year, as NISA wants us to do that with our partnership there. So we'll see that. Any other teams planning on streaming and or having fans or making it more of a full game event?
Yeah, I'll jump in. I mean, kind of the whole idea with Soul to Soul is from our academy, we've created our men's and our women's teams, and just to create that whole pathway from the youth system up to the pros, you know, and the whole idea of that is to then create that professional atmosphere for our youth kids in the academy to almost look up to our professional players and want to be them, you know. And the best way to do that is to provide a professional atmosphere and get the best fields and try to either sell tickets or make it like that atmosphere so they can be like, wow, I can be at this stage. And we just want them to use this as a stepping stone, as a platform to get to the higher levels. So making it as professional as we can, almost as early as we can, is our goal as well, with live streaming and highlight videos on our YouTube and all those different things.
Yeah. How about you, Johnny? I've seen your setup on the men's side, and you guys always do a good job there. Is it going to be similar on the women's, or what's the thought?
Yeah, it'll be similar on the women's. You know, Capo FC is a community club. A lot of our kids are underserved, underprivileged, and so, you know, to charge those kids and to charge those families for coming, we usually get pretty good crowds at our games, and a lot of them are our local kids and our local families. So we don't intend to charge anybody to come to our games. It's just kind of the philosophy of the club.
But you're still going to host an event, promote it, market it, you know?
Yes. Yeah. So we have a brand new website. Capo FC's got a brand new website. It's mainly for the men right now, but Peter Carey wants me to go and look at it and see how we can incorporate the women. And that's what we wanted. We do want to do it that way. We want to have a social media presence. But again, you know, we're at a different place. I mean, from what I'm hearing from other people, you know, they're trying to get to that next level and play at, you know, a professional or semi-professional level. You know, most of my women have already done that. They've come back from overseas and they've already played at that level. They're working moms and women in Orange County that want a high level soccer experience. So, you know, we're content to just be in this division forever. We're probably not going to want to move up. We just want to play, be competitive, and we've got a lot of women who've played overseas. So we want to promote it as a community event for definitely. Beyond that, I'd have to talk to Peter about what he wants to do, because it's his club. So
yeah, well, as the women's game grow, I know you've got tons of players on the men's side, so maybe this will generate more interest, and you'll find that group of, you know, early 20s, mid 20 players who want to do that higher level thing, and then you can have a first team and a reserve team. So ideally, that's what I'd love to see, is you guys having, you know, a club system, especially even on the adult side, where you have maybe 30, 40 players, and you can do two teams, where maybe the top division is that limited sub and you've got 16, 18 on the roster, and then the second division is more of that unlimited, everybody plays type thing. So that's just thoughts for the future, things like that as we grow. Mike and Sheldon, how about you guys with your team? Are you guys going to have an event? Because I know you're building community in your area. Is this something you're going to showcase, or is it just going to be a standalone?
Sheldon, I'm not even sure if he's on, but as of right now,
Daughter's on.
yeah, I think he's on. Anyway, as of right now, that's something that we have to address. Hadn't thought about it until you mentioned it, but I know we can't do any charging at our home field. That's strictly an Inglewood thing. So, but everything else, I don't see a problem with us participating in, promoting, the games. So, but once again, main controller is Sheldon.
All right. Well, good to know. Yeah, so that was, all of those things are definitely important to us on, as we come to determination on the format. So I do have the format and standards page here on our website. I've actually been kind of working on it as we're talking on this page here. Where is it? Yeah, I've been editing it over here, and so I will edit this page continually and make sure that what we decide on over the next few days, what the format and standards of the leagues are going to be, of this league's going to be, matches with what the desires of the clubs are going to be. So again, I'm hopeful that all of us are willing to give a little bit to make it work. On the women's side, as you all know, teams are fewer and far between. If you're on the men's side, you can pick from any one of 10 men's leagues to get what you want in the format and standards you want. But it's a little more difficult on the women's side. So that's why I wanted to get your feedback and have all this work together, because at the end of the day, my job is the easy one. I can do it from home. I get the registrations, approve the players, do the schedule. I can do it all from here, but I want to be out at your games. I want to develop relationships with you guys, and I want to help see you guys grow. And from talking to you guys just today, it's apparent you all have a different trajectory that you're going on, right? Some of you are going and want to do pro. Some of you want to just do community based. Some of you want to focus on just the players that have been with you for a long time. So we're coming from all different places. I mean, we haven't talked to Wendy yet about, maybe doing some exhibitions with some national teams from Asia. But again, I know Dido's on the phone. He's had his team in the past. So again, if we kind of unify around this and come up with what works for us, we can create that. So I know it's already after 9:15. So I will compile kind of a summary. I'll send this out to you and kind of next steps, but next steps will be to fill out your field info form. I'll complete the standards and format form, send that out to you so we can all be on the same page. You guys need to log in and register as staff if you haven't already done that. And I will approve your staff registrations so that you can access and manage your team. Players can already start registering now. So you can send them to our website to start registering. I will also put a link in an email that I'll compile about all this with links and things like that for you guys as a follow-up. So any last questions or comments before we jump off? Actually, before we do that, I saw that Isabella Fernanda joined. I want to give you a chance to introduce yourself. If you get a chance. I think Wendy invited you, is that correct?
Hi, yeah, sorry for being late.
That's okay.
Yeah. So yeah, hi. My name's Isabel Fernando. I manage the Philippine Women's National Team. we've been training here since August. Actually, the team's currently not training right now. We just qualified for the FIFA Women's World Cup. And as you're talking about, the women's game is just growing. So a lot of our girls are based here, are local, and they aren't professional, and they don't have clubs currently. So actually, the reason that I was asking is just basically inquiring, like, if just exploring the possibility of being like a club team or a guest team, but listening to the deadlines and like the different things that we're and like knowing that you're trying to start the first or the second week of March, I was just thinking of maybe for now, maybe offering some of our players to some of the clubs, just because we also have a tight schedule this year. We have 3 tournaments in Asia this year. So I was thinking of like reaching out, and I know we've played a few of the clubs that are on this call and they've seen our girls. And maybe that's something that we could consider. But yeah, like Tarzan, I think, mentioned, that would mean that the girls would be in and out during international competitions. But as far as the month of March, I think some of them would be available and are local.
Yeah, and even with that, and I appreciate you being on, and congrats on qualifying for the World Cup. That's awesome. If your players are funneled out and get to play with us, that's great. But then we can also do some more exhibition games with you guys that we can help market and promote. So I'm excited about being a part of that with you guys as well too.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. So yeah, we'll just be in touch and see and explore like how we can kind of work together.
All right. Very good. Thanks. Any other questions or comments before we get off here?
I think just for me, I think for us, I don't know how everybody else feels, but I know for us, I think second week of March fits better for us than first week.
Yeah.
Because of us now getting on this and then getting everything set up, and with obviously Steve being overseas and Gabby, the head coach, coming into town this week, we're going to kind of be scrambling if we want to get into training and stuff like that ASAP. A lot of our girls are playing everywhere, tournaments, Sunday league, etc., like that. But I think to get an actual team practice together, it's still going to take another probably 2 weeks. And OC Great Park isn't very nice with their rentals either. So
we don't even have it until April for our league, which is rare. We usually have it all year round. So
okay, yeah. So I think second, and if it has to be even third, I don't mind for us. But I want to whatever everybody else thinks. I think for sure though the second week would probably be better for us. That's for sure.
Yeah, usually 1 month from this meeting is usually a good amount of time to get players registered, get onboarded, get schedules made and all that. Sure. All right. Anyone else? Paul Gizzi, any wisdom from you? Been sitting there taking it all in.
Taking it all in, obviously, waiting for the fall. What obviously we hope to get a nice field, but if you don't have a home field, what do you play all away games? Is that typical?
Usually in a scenario like this where it's a smaller division, if teams, we have fields as a league, we have some fields in Irvine and then in Inland Empire that we can provide. That's typically the case where both teams don't have a home field, but if you don't have a home field, then we would look to partner with the other teams to see if they have extra slots, or just play all the games away, which in this case wouldn't be that big of a deal because everyone's within an hour or so from each other.
No, that's not, I think there's plenty of good fields we can get, just maybe looking at the financial aspect of it as well. So
yeah, and usually what we do in that situation, whichever team is listed as home pays for the field. So if you're listed as home but you're playing at the away team's field, you would just pay that invoice for them for that game.
Okay. We're excited about it. Obviously, we have a little more time. But looks to me like from the quality of managerial positions that I'm seeing here tonight, that the programs are all going to be professional or high-level amateur teams. And that's exciting for us to be involved with a league like this.
All right. Thank you all for being on. I appreciate the time, and I will record this, upload it, and send it to you in an email within the next few days. So appreciate your time, guys, and we will be in touch.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you, Mr. Morris.
Thanks, Matt.
See you, Kizzy.
you.
Nice to meet some of you guys.
All
See you
Matt.
guys later.
Good night.
Thanks, Ed. Anybody still on, have any questions? Johnny, looks like you're just frozen, so maybe you're off. I don't know who iPhone 626 is. Who is that? Oh, hey, Lalo. You all good? Any more questions, Lalo?